What is up, everybody? This is the guy.
And the other guy. Back again with another episode, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? We're doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Definitely been growing spiritually and being present and being very happy in my life, so I can't complain at all. And it doesn't hurt that it's been a great week of football for both college and NFL. So we definitely have to get into talking the conference championships yesterday because there was a lot to go on. And Friday night, Oregon-Washington game. Did you watch that game?
That game, I watched some of
That was nuts. It was so nuts.
Yeah. I saw the ending though. I really once Washington. I forgot who Penix threw it to, but once Penix threw it to again, I can't remember the name, but that was I think it then was 34-24. I was like, this game's over.
Dude, and Oregon almost came back and almost won. They ended up losing by 3 again.
Yeah, they got the touchdown. I didn't see the ending though, so I didn't. I don't know. I think maybe Washington got it back with 40 something.
I think they kicked the field goal. No, I think they were up by 10, but then Oregon scored, but it wasn't enough time.
I was gonna say, Washington got the ball back 20 seconds. You take the knee, it's all good.
But that sucks for Oregon because they literally lost to Washington back-to-back times by only 3 points. They lost by 6 points in total in 2 games.
It's literally, I remember we were talking about
regular season,
right before this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about which teams deserve to be in and which teams don't deserve to be in. Speaking of which, we would have to get into that.
For sure, yeah.
But for Oregon, I think I mentioned just because they lost to Washington twice, they're not in. But other than that, they've been undefeated. They've been a great team all season. I think
that you can also apply that to Georgia because Georgia was undefeated, but they only lost by 3 to Alabama.
True.
So it's a tough business, but you lost at the end of the day.
Yeah. But I think I just have more respect for Oregon in my opinion because they played a way harder schedule for this.
Than Georgia?
Yeah.
I guess I could see. I mean, Georgia played a kind of an easy schedule, but they played really good against Tennessee, Ole Miss. They beat Mizzou by I think 10, right?
That was 9. Yeah. But they almost lost that game too. Yeah. That was the second time because we almost beat them last year. So this back-to-back years we've almost beaten Georgia. Maybe next year we could beat them.
Last year was surprising, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was at home too, which I'm sure kind of helped us, but yeah.
And then people are mad because Florida State was undefeated. They ended up not getting into the playoffs, so that's another topic we could talk about.
That's actually a good point, because they're the only undefeated team to not make it right now, right?
If you count Liberty.
Hey, I don't know. They should set up the Liberty-Michigan game. Maybe then they'll hopefully be able to get in.
I think they're the only Power 5 undefeated team that's not in the playoff.
Which conference are they in again? Liberty?
I don't know. They're non-Power 5 though.
Oh yeah.
So it's the top 5.
Oh, you're saying Florida State's the one Power 5 team that should have. Yeah.
That's not in the playoff undefeated wise, yeah.
But if you think of their second best opponent, Louisville, if they had beaten Kentucky, next year they're going to do the whole tournament thing, but with the top 12 teams, Louisville would have gotten in if they actually had beaten Kentucky this year. If they had
that's true.
This year. So the second best team in the ACC would be Louisville, who literally lost to Kentucky and, has had some really close calls with other really bad teams. So I think the ACC is going to be really interesting next year. They have some good quarterbacks. Again, Drake May, Duke's quarterback's pretty decent, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be good next year. Florida State's probably going to, even without Jordan Travis, they're probably going to be by far the best team, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I wonder if any of the teams are going to go to the SEC or the Big Ten in the ACC, because I think Florida, the ACC is the most middle-heavy conference because, the Big Ten is the most top-heavy. The Pac-12 this year was the best from top to bottom, but I actually think the ACC was, they had, a lot of teams that were, above average, but, besides Florida State, they didn't really have any great teams. So, they're, middle-heavy,
do you think, besides Louisville, North Carolina was probably the best?
Duke was good Duke and North Carolina were, in and out of the rankings. Miami was in and out of the rankings.
Was Miami ranked?
They were in and out of the rankings.
Yeah, because Miami's not bad, but I wouldn't consider them a good ranked team.
No, that's why I'm saying they were in and out of the rankings.
Yeah.
And then, Florida State was definitely the best. Louisville, those were definitely the 2 best teams. What team am I thinking of?
Who else is there's you're talking about in the ACC?
Not South. Clemson's in the ACC.
I was gonna say Clemson.
In and out of they weren't ranked, but they were they weren't bad.
They were just Miami, North Carolina, Duke, in and out of the rankings.
NC State actually finished ranked. They finished ranked 21st.
Yeah, I saw that. Are they actually good this year?
Their record, they were one of those teams, they weren't that good, but, at the end of the year, they had a good record, so, they're okay, they're ranked.
True, but I think they did beat North Carolina, right?
I don't even know.
They played, 1 or 2 really good teams, and they almost, they've played some tough competition, they have beat them, so I think, NC State, at least in my mind so far, deserves to be ranked, but
I don't know enough about them. I just saw that they were in the rank. They were like 9-3 or 10-2 or something. So like it makes sense.
Yeah. But then again, UNLV was 9-3 and they didn't get ranked.
Just because the conference play, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the AC literally, like you're saying, the ACC is more middle heavy, so at least you've got some decent teams that should be ranked. Versus like, I think they're in the like for example, the championship game UNLV played was like the Mountain West.
They played against. I think they played against
Boise State, or I think it was Boise State.
That's Toledo. Boise State.
That's who.
And the Mountain. Oh yeah, the Mountain West. Yeah, they're the Mountain West.
Yeah, but I think you were mentioning which team? I can't remember. You just mentioned.
In what conference?
The other conference. I can't
remember. The ACC.
No, the other team that you were talking about that should have been ranked this year, but I can't. You just brought the team you just brought up. I can't remember the name.
Were they in and out of rankings, or they just weren't ranked at all?
In and out, I think.
Oh, like Miami?
No, not Miami. Never mind. I can't remember.
Liberty? Liberty's ranked though.
Yeah, but like I think there's like one other team that was in like one of the non-top 5 conferences that I think deserves its ranking, but I can't remember which one I was thinking about. But yeah,
I think of which one. I don't even know what I said.
I can't remember either, but I think either way, like in these, like for example, Liberty, James Madison, like all these like teams that are ranked right now that you typically wouldn't hear of, like I think they've only got that way because everybody's moving.
And also, like they're not like 9-3. They're like 11-1 or 12-0. So like even though they're playing bad teams, they've consistently been able to win. So it's like, what's more impressive, being like a 12-0 or 11-1 in that bad conference, or being like 9-3 in like a normal conference? Like it's kind of like somewhat even.
Yeah, I just thought of it. Like I actually, one of the teams I was thinking of, Troy. They're 11-1.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Troy.
Like I'm like, and I forgot who they played, but it was some terrible team. But I'm like, I get why, but like. Like, are they just like slightly less terrible? I think that they'll just beat all the terrible.
I think Liberty and James Madison deserve to be ranked.
Yeah, but they're again, like I think you just need, for me, like if you're in a better conference, I have more respect for you, honestly.
Yeah, but then it's just like too top heavy in the rankings, so there's less variety, I guess.
Well, but that's literally like what's happening next year with like all the, not even just Texas, Oklahoma going to the SEC, but also like prominent teams going to the Big Ten as well. Like the
Big Ten is gonna be so weird because you got USC, UCLA, and Washington and Oregon going to the Big Ten. I mean, there's gonna be some long plane rides for the players too.
Yeah,
to go to like the West Coast and the Midwest, like.
Oh yeah, I was thinking. I can't remember I can't remember which team I was thinking. Like UCLA. Like UCLA's all the way. USC. Both of those teams all the way in California. They have to take a detour to the Midwest.
They have to go to Rutgers to play. They have to go across the whole U.S. to play. Like, and both those teams, like the Midwest and the West Coast, like they have two different styles of football. Like the Midwest is like the nitty gritty defensive style of play, and the West Coast is like you get a touchdown, we're just gonna throw the ball and play bad defense. It's like complete opposite styles of football too.
That's actually a good point. Yeah. Maybe the Pac-12 just doesn't care as much about defense, but no, you still got like Oregon and Washington right now.
They have okay defense, but like compared to like Michigan and Ohio State, their defense is not as good.
True. Yeah. Like, do you think that's going to affect them that much in the national championship?
Who, Washington?
Well, I mean, yeah, actually, I was literally thinking of Washington, but like the other teams that don't have as good of a defense, like you were saying, Oregon, like not in the top, the top 4, but even teams like in the top 10 that are going to be in these prominent bowl games.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, they could be. Like, for example, USC was just, they were literally they were a top
10. Yeah.
They were a top, 10, 15 team this year, and then they concluded.
They started the year ranked number 6. It was Caleb Williams.
Just one name.
Because they have other good players, like Marshawn Lloyd, a good running back. They have Dorian Singer, who's a good wide receiver, and they have one guy, Mason Cox. I don't know what he's like a lineman. I can't remember, what he is. He's pretty good, though. Mm-hmm. But, it was one of those things where it's, their defense was so bad, and also, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I've never met Caleb Williams, but from what it sounds like, he's not the greatest leader. So they just didn't have a great record, and they didn't really have a good team culture. Maybe that's what it was. Washington, Texas, Michigan, Alabama, all those 4 teams have great team culture. So that's why they're where they're at right now.
True. I was gonna, and what you just brought up, I think possibly the Heisman that are up right now, Penix, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, possibly another reason that they're up there is you were saying, leadership. These guys are some of the best, not just players in the country, but they can also apply that to leadership. So they are some of the best leaders for their teams that possibly are in the nation.
I wonder if Jalen Milroe is going to get an invite, because probably Marvin Harrison Jr., because there's 4. I think there's 4 guys that go to New York for the Heisman, if I believe correctly.
I was going to say, are you allowed to? are you allowed to invite people that typically wouldn't be at the top of the Heisman list? Like again, like Marvin's.
Well, you have to be at the top. I mean, you have to be like at the top contenders to go.
Well, but like I'm thinking of like for example, like the top three, like
unanimous,
unanimous, like Jake Daniels, Bo Nix, like Penix, okay, so
who's the fourth spot going to go to? It could go Marvin Harrison Jr., Jalen Milroe, like one of those kind of guys.
Probably. Okay, so they have to duke it out, and whoever they choose, that will be the fourth person. Got it.
I think it's usually four that go to the New York, right?
That's the thing. I actually have no idea how many people
the Heisman ceremony,
get the Heisman ceremony, but even though because Marvin Harrison Jr. was in for the first half, but then he kind of faded out over time. I think that's when Ohio State,
I would still say he's a top 5 Heisman contender. Even though they lost to Michigan, he had a really good game against Michigan. He had 5 receptions for 118 yards against Michigan, which is very impressive.
Facts. But, I never really look at Marvin Harrison, and I'm like, Junior, and I'm like, this guy is a difference maker. Like, if
he's a beast, though. He's a beast, though, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially if he catches fire, he's really good. But, and this is actually what I was thinking about, if you're the Bears, are you drafting Jaden Daniels, or are you going Marvin Harrison, or are you just throwing that pick out entirely and trading it for others?
The Bears don't need to, I don't think they don't need to draft a quarterback.
That's the thing. I think Justin Fields.
I think we can stick with Justin Fields for now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Marvin Harrison Jr. would probably be a good pick, or just the Bears. Is it confirmed they have the first pick?
Possibly, because especially since they've been winning recently,
I wonder if
because I think they have Carolina's pick. I'm not too sure on how it's going.
I think they need to draft either a defensive guy or offensive lineman again. Just they didn't get that. They still need to get better in that area,
dude. Especially offense. Justin Fields is literally the defense is up his ass every 5 seconds.
You know would be a good pickup, even though the guy from Michigan got hurt. Zach Zinter, who's a Michigan offensive lineman, he got hurt recently. If they drafted him, that'd be actually a pretty good pickup.
He'd pretty much be better than any of who the Bears have now.
Or their offensive line.
Literally, I don't know one player on the Bears' offensive line.
The one guy they drafted from Tennessee, number 7 overall. I don't know his name, but I don't know if
is he an O-lineman?
From Tennessee, I forgot his name. But
7 overall. I mean, I know
it was the first pick they had last year.
Yeah, that's it. Well, but
or maybe 10 overall, some shit like that.
That's the thing. I understand you need to get better, but drafting an offensive lineman at number 10, you could probably draft.
They could have gone with a defensive back, probably.
Yeah, a more impactful position. Yeah. And even so, there's still good offensive linemen in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds.
The thing is Justin Fields has literally the least amount of time in any quarterback in America to throw the ball, I think.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. They're up his ass. He literally has no room.
And he's been doing really good considering that fact. He's been he gets the ball out quick as fuck. For what is given to him.
Well, and he tends to he really tries to gamble sometimes. People were we should start Baggett or what's
Tyson Bagent,
whatever.
Great backup quarterback. I mean,
but I think that kind of gets overshadowed by the plays that they're they gave him short out routes. They gave him run plays. They don't trust him with the ball like Justin Fields. I mean,
he's the backup, so they're not going to risk it as much. That just makes sense. But
that's the thing. I understand.
They should stick with him as a backup. I think he's a reliable backup, though.
Yeah,
for now at least.
For now, and he's only going to get better too.
He's young. He's only 23. I think
he was from D2, so I wonder how that's going to carry over. But
it's carried over pretty well so far considering he was D2.
Well, I mean, for example, Cody Schrader, he was a D2 walk-on from Mizzou.
Stetson Bennett was a community college guy.
Yeah, Stetson. Was he D2, Stetson Bennett?
Oh, well, Stetson Bennett walked on at Georgia, but then he went to a community college, then he came back to Georgia, and then he won the starting job. So he had a crazy ride.
Did he win the first time the starting job at Georgia?
No, he walked on. I think he was really. So he went to Georgia as a walk-on, and then he left to go to a community college to develop more and play. Then after he developed more, he went back to Georgia and got the starting job.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he had a movie kind of scenario.
Yeah, well, he didn't even go to the mid, in the sense you'd probably you started a community college team, you'd probably want to jump to a mid-tier team, So he was
already at Georgia's program, so that's probably why he came back though.
Oh, wait, he went to college there or something?
No, he was a walk-on there initially.
Yeah.
And then he went to community college to develop more. Then he came back because he's already familiar with Georgia's system.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised that they trusted him that much in the moment because you'd go to a mid-tier college before you go to one of the big schools.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm getting the order conflated, but it was something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
But I could see him again, Cody Schrader, Mizzou. We weren't expected to be this good. We were expected to be
crazy.
Maybe 25, 24 at best. We were possibly hoping for this season, but again, so Cody Schrader walking into that type of environment would have been easier than. I know he's obviously a running back too, but like going into like a mid-tier football school rather than, or what would have been a mid-tier football school versus like automatically going to Georgia. Because we actually did have one of our players, Dominic Lovett, I forgot his name, but he transferred to Georgia when he was playing. He got good minutes at Mizzou, goes to Georgia, gets no playing time.
Is he a receiver? I think he got some playing time. Like he has some receptions I saw in the stat sheet. So.
A couple throws, but
he's not like the main option like Lad McConkey.
He's no Brock Bowers. Or
Lad McConkey, like those two two are some pretty good guys.
They're the Caucasian duo.
Caucasian guys, yeah. But like that reminds me of like what we were talking about earlier, one of the earlier podcasts where we were saying like guys like Stetson Bennett and Cody Schrader and Tyson Bagent. Those are the guys that like came through the cracks and like came out of nowhere and like really showed up.
Rags to riches, baby.
Yeah, and that reminds me, there's like JT Daniels. I texted you, bro. He had to medically retire, 23 years old. Because of concussions.
Literally, he went in the opposite direction. It was like, yeah, when you texted me that, I was like shocked. Because like, what's he gonna do now? I mean, is he just gonna go back to school?
Well, there's actually good news. It's like he's actually gonna become a coach now. So at least he's actually like doing something else, which is good.
Like at this stage, like would he be like the youngest coach? And if he does,
well, he could be like an assistant quarterback coach or he could. I don't know where he's coaching, but I think that's good for him to moving on that fast and just like doing something else because he was a 5-star recruit. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year. This guy was super good, but concussions just ruined his career. He just got unlucky, you know.
Well, do you think it was injuries that derailed his career, or just like lack of motivation?
It literally was injuries. He was forced to medically retire because of concussions.
Yeah, but like even at the beginning, like because he had I forgot which.
He was talented. It wasn't. I don't think it was a talent problem.
North Carolina, yeah. Like, where did he go to?
USC.
I was thinking of USC. Yeah, he goes to USC and then transfers to the East Coast, Georgia, and then goes through multiple other colleges.
Yeah, and he kept getting hurt.
So is that what happened? Like, he just goes somewhere else and then he get hurt, so he'd have to transfer somewhere else.
Yeah. He was unlucky.
Yeah, I was gonna say that just happens to some teams. Like,
and he had to retire at 23. That's so young, dude.
Facts, but like you were saying, like I think if like maybe either a head coach at like a D2 college or something,
or a quarterbacks coach,
or a quarterbacks coach, even like just like
still giving a
players coach, maybe an offensive coordinator, like.
Later on.
Well, but at like one of the lower tier, like D1 colleges, like he could probably be an OC at Rice or something.
It'd be cool if he became like one of the better coaches, like because he's still young. What if he like becomes like one of like the better coaches, like in his 30s? It'd be kind of raw.
That's the thing. Yeah. I think if he honestly like just kind of observes for a couple years, like as one of the lower tier coaches, or head coaches at like a really terrible school, then he can get recognized.
Yeah.
And then get into some more prominent position. Because I mean, I wouldn't say he's like in like a guy like in Deion's case where he goes to Jackson. Like Deion has a way bigger name and like
he's like 30 years older.
30 years older as well.
Yeah.
But like I can see like just off of his name and like the experience he did have that like he would move up more to get more prominent coaching jobs.
Oh, for sure.
Than other people, obviously. But I think like he's one of those guys that would like steadily progress, but I think would earn it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because he also has an advantage because like he can relate to the players because he was in their shoes before.
Facts.
And he's young too. He's getting into the game young. So like if he sticks with it like for even 10 years, he'll be 33 and he'll have 10 years of coaching experience.
Well, that's crazy. Like depending on if he could be like a good recruiter too. Like I think he'd be amazing of a coach. Because like for example, Eli Drakowitz, like he didn't play like top tier high school football or something, and. Like
he just knows the game very well.
But even though like his because he's a head coach, like I think he said like he stopped calling plays about like a year ago, and that's when we got.
But he doesn't call plays at all. The quarterback just does it.
Not much. Because our OC is
offensive coordinator. Okay.
Our OC is super good. Like his brother was the OC for the Chargers, I think. Oh no, he was his brother. Kirby Moore's brother was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and then moved over to the Chargers.
Oh, okay.
So, and Kirby Moore's only like 30-something, so...
He's young, bro.
Again, like Jaden Daniels, like not Jaden Daniels.
JT Daniels.
JT Daniels. Yeah. Two different guys, but similar.
I think they're the same class, though.
Man. Are they? Possibly.
Well, you know what's interesting, not to cut you off, but JT Daniels actually, he actually left college a year early. So he was at Mater Dei, which is one of the best high school programs ever. Bryce Young went there, a bunch of good quarterbacks went there. He was a starter as a freshman. Freshman, sophomore, junior year, he actually played with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Ooh. I just saw him play today. They barely beat the Saints.
So him and Amon-Ra St. Brown were like the best quarterback receiver duo, like and one of the best in high school history. Like they were going crazy. Yeah. And then he left a year early because he was a smart guy. He had all his high school credits in. So he was actually starting at USC as a technically a senior in high school.
Yeah,
but he was a freshman because he went to USC and then transferred to Georgia, lost to Stetson Bennett in West Virginia. Then now he's at Rice. But I don't know if it was a motivation problem because he seemed like a good guy that worked hard and wanted to be the best he could be. But I guess I don't know. I don't want to get religious, but maybe God's plan wants him to be a coach. You never know.
Well, but like you were saying, he like the injuries. Like if he genuinely like goes to a program, like for instance Georgia, and then he loses the starting spot because he gets injured, like what can you do?
And Stetson Bennett, JT Daniels is really good, but Stetson Bennett's just like very good.
Do you think he would have been a better quarterback than Stetson Bennett? Maybe.
Because they were actually kind of even. Because JT Daniels actually started a fair amount of Georgia's games, I think, in 2021, and he was doing pretty good. But either he got hurt or Stetson Bennett outcompeted him. I can't remember what happened, but maybe a combination of both.
Well, that's like because Stetson Bennett, I think, was like a hard worker,
legit
quarterback who wanted to get better. But like, I think if you have a guy like JT Daniels who's already a 5-star, and he also has the drive, then if he gets injured,
he automatically retired because of concussion, so it's probably because of the injuries.
Literally, I'm like, because it just wouldn't make any sense him losing to Stetson Bennett unless he was unmotivated or he got injured. Those are the only two reasons.
Or if Stetson Bennett was just like somehow just better.
That's the thing, like how, rare. Like that. Yeah. How would that be though? I mean, just because
out of high school, like it was polar opposite, like 5-star guy versus a community college guy with a chip on his shoulder. Yeah.
Well, I think like. Maybe and in some cases like genuinely like maybe Stetson Bennett was built more for the college football league than JT Daniels was, but like even so like JT Daniels just had a lot more upside. He had a lot more going for him, like experience. So I don't know.
Yeah, those were the two guys that played quarterback. I think it was 2 years ago in the 2021 season. It was JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett. They were kind of duking it out, and then they ended up sticking with the mailman, Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett, I love Stetson Bennett. He's funny.
Yeah. Well, he's the quarterback for not the Chargers. But...
He's a backup on the Rams, I think.
Yes. I don't know if he's like because he played this season, right?
Stafford is imagine. I don't even know. I didn't hear about him playing.
Because Matt Stafford got injured, I think.
Oh, really? Maybe he was third stringer. I feel like I would have heard about him playing though.
That's the thing. Yeah. Me too. Same. I don't know. Because like I know what. Wait, who? Because when what was his name? Justin Herbert got injured. I don't think
Max Duggan.
I don't think he played.
Maybe third string then. I don't know.
Maybe again, I don't know if somebody won the backup spot with.
I like Max Duggan, but I don't think he's gonna be like a really good player in the NFL.
I thought he was gonna be a decent backup, but
that's a backup maybe. But I don't know. I think more upside. Even though he's younger than Stetson Bennett, I just think Stetson Bennett's like more equipped to be a backup than him.
Well, that's the thing, but I know, and like Stetson Bennett had more time to prove himself, but I think because of that 1 year Cinderella run, I would still see if Max Duggan has any potential whatsoever.
No, he's definitely very good. I mean, he ended up beating Michigan and everything. So
he beat Michigan.
But what's weird is like he didn't have great numbers. I think it was mostly TCU's defense. They had 2 pick sixes in that game.
True, yeah. And I mean, like, obviously they get, to the national championship.
They got killed.
They get destroyed.
Stetson Bennett was, like, licking his chops and smoking cigars.
He's probably, because, dude, I saw them doing that in the fourth quarter. Like, they put in their backup, like, at the end.
They were ordering chicken wings on the sidelines.
Literally.
All the defensive linemen were like, let's get some chicken wings. We're cooking these guys. That's pretty it's funny, but it's like, that's such a disrespect right there, bro.
Oh, yeah. Like, well, because it reminds me of, I can't remember the dude's name, but he's like the assist, like the co-host with like the assistant to Jimmy. What's his name?
For what?
Not Fallon, but Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel. Guillermo, the fat dude. Yeah, you know what the fat.
Yeah, Guillermo. Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. He was in the Celebrity All-Star Game one time, and
Wait, really?
the celebrity
basketball.
Yeah. And, like, because, like, you talk about, like, people ordering from the sidelines, like, I mean, like, I feel like it's kind of, like, if you're in an actual football game, it's a little, like, disrespectful to the other team, but, like, he ordered a pizza, like, mid-game, and it showed up, and then, the guy just hands him the pizza, and he brings it on the court. It was so fun, like, during, like, one of the breaks or something, like, a timeout, he just brings the pizza in the middle of the court. It's so funny.
That reminds me of when Guillermo, like, when they would cover, like, the NBA Finals, and, like, LeBron was in the Finals 8 years in a row, he'd be like, LeBron, and LeBron would never, like, say hi to him. Like, for 8 years straight.
Dang. Dude,
kind of like Kobe and Steph Curry would talk to him, but and it must have all been scripted, but I don't know.
Like, I mean...
Knowing LeBron, maybe not, though.
Frost, like, because, like, it reminds me of when KD, like, a lot of, like, YouTubers were beefing with him, like...
Oh, yeah.
Because, like...
Lost in a bound.
Yeah. Like, one of the games, like... I think I can't remember what he was saying that he got like courtside tickets to one of the Warriors games. He's like, F you, KD, like, screw it. And he just like looks at him like, I think he said like, I don't mess with like, these like people on Twitter, like what. I can't remember. He does
though. He's a Twitter, Kevin Durant's a Twitter mod. He's got a bunch of burner accounts.
Literally, well, that's what he did. Like, but like, it's, so it's like Kevin Durant, I can see being more of like, I don't even think he's like a cold person, but he's just like somebody who just like, you can mess with him. You can mess with him, and it gets to him
more than LeBron. Like,
so that's the thing. Like LeBron to me wouldn't be that type of guy. Like he probably, I would assume he would be more open.
Just saying hi. Who knows? Because like LeBron comes across as like a cool guy, but he also comes across as very arrogant at the same time. So it's like I don't know.
I mean, you gotta be if you want to be one of the greatest of all time.
That's true. Like I mean, but like because like Steph Curry, like I'm sure you gotta be delusionally to be good. Like but like Steph Curry and Kobe, like they were like the friendly demeanor and everything. Magic Johnson, like they were obviously full of themselves, but like they would like be outgoing with people who are like random.
I don't want to get too deep into it, but I don't know with Kobe because of the whole rape thing.
Well, that's a legend. I don't want to get into too deep.
Exactly.
But like, I mean, but you see Kobe in interviews, like he comes across as a friendly guy.
I think like he has good charisma.
He was friendly with Guillermo.
Everybody probably was.
Not LeBron though.
except LeBron, but even probably MJ would have. Like,
Curry seems like Curry's just like a Curry guy. Like he's nice.
Curry's just Curry. I mean,
Shaq and Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, super outgoing guys. Larry Bird more reserved.
It's interesting.
Kareem's more reserved. Tim Duncan more reserved.
I can't remember who we were talking about or when we were talking about this, but I know there was a period of time I think where we were talking about like some of the like players that have a lot more personality versus the ones that don't when they retire. Like for instance, like you hear Shaq 24/7. He's always on ESPN.
He's always on commercials.
He's always just being that funny, charismatic guy, and he's made that part of his brand after he retired.
He's always been the same way. He's always been like
facts. Versus like Tim Duncan.
Where's Tim Duncan?
Nobody knows where Tim Duncan is because that's just Tim Duncan.
Yeah, like Tim Duncan, Kareem, Larry Bird. Hakeem.
Once in a while you'll hear Kareem. Once in a while.
Hakeem is like Hakeem might have been like in the middle. Kind of.
I never hear Hakeem's name.
Hakeem's more of a private man. He's a Muslim man, so it's like. But I don't think he's like shy though. Like you talk with him.
Like I think the last time I heard about him, he was talking about like how.
He loves Jokic.
He likes Jokic now because he was talking up Embiid for like the longest time, saying like he was like going to be the next him.
No way.
And then.
Yeah, Embiid's good, but he's not the next Hakeem at all.
Well, but especially this was like right before the end of the season, like when Embiid was like terrible in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So like I think I could see why he switched over to like a Jokic at this point.
Jokic is definitely better than Embiid, and like Embiid is definitely good. But think about a prime Embiid versus a prime Hakeem. Hakeem would cook him so hard, but
dude, he would. Well, also like
Hakeem is one of the best centers of all time, no question.
Yeah, and he played in like the hardest era. I mean, I know he won his chips without Jordan, but like
he was the only one to win him without Jordan, though.
Facts.
So that puts him over the edge. Like he cooked out David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, and Shaq. Even though Shaq was younger, they all had a really hard time with the Hakeem.
He did. Well, that's he cooked David Robinson when they played.
And Patrick Ewing, and Shaq was younger, but Shaq
was becoming really good, and
he was just younger, but he still cooked Shaq. And Shaq even said Hakeem was the hardest guy he ever had to guard. I think.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. But I think guys like Patrick Ewing, I think they're a little overrated though.
David Robinson's better than Patrick Ewing.
I was gonna say there's like you got like the top tier. Although maybe I would put Hakeem like slightly above David Robinson.
Oh,
I definitely. You got like those tiers of centers, like some of the greatest of all time, and then you've got somebody like Patrick Ewing. I think he's like right before.
He's like top 10, top 15 range.
Yeah, but no ring. He's not been. There have been times.
No, I agree with you. I think he's overrated, but he's definitely still one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, but like, granted, I will say like he's not had the best supporting cast for
that's another
a long
reason,
time.
Yeah. John Starks.
Literally, he was mainly the second best option like for a decade, and Ewing was actually like
Latrell Sprewell was another teammate he had later.
Facts, later on, like that Cinderella run
against the Spurs.
That 99's final though, like he was injured. Like Ewing got injured, and they played better because of that.
Maybe maybe more spread out across the sharing the ball, right?
Well, like because Ewing was hogging up the paint, and he was also like older at that time. So like,
you know what's weird is when Brock Bowers got injured, Georgia was actually playing better.
I was thinking, that
kind of reminds me of that.
But was he injured in the game against Alabama? I didn't.
No, he was playing.
Because like
Tennessee, Ole Miss, he was injured. They cooked both those teams.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't even throw it to him like Brock Bowers that much like in the Alabama game, and like they still play. I think Georgia still played pretty good.
Georgia. Like I'm saying, like. just the fact that they lost the conference game, like they're out, but like it's like they barely got out of the
I'm more shocked that Alabama got in than Georgia got out. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, really? I'm not. Alabama's been playing amazing recently.
But they've struggled at the beginning of the season.
A little bit, but they got their bearings. I mean, I think Texas deserves it more than Alabama because they beat Alabama.
They did, yeah.
But like I think both those teams still. We can go back and talk about like the top 8 is so competitive. Like Michigan and Washington, 1A, 1B. I think Michigan's definitely more well rounded than Washington. But I don't think they're like a fuck ton better than Washington. I think Washington could definitely give them a run for their money. They played.
Yeah, you summed up my thoughts. 1 to 2 as well.
Yeah, and then we can go to 3, which is like Texas, Alabama, which is controversial because then you can think of Florida State, Georgia. Where do they? Yeah. Where's Oregon and Ohio? Oh, even Ohio State, who's like probably like number 7 or 8.
They should be in, and their one loss was barely to Michigan.
It's so close. Once you get from like 3 to 8, it's so close.
Was at Michigan too?
It was at Michigan, yeah.
So, like, yeah, I mean, I can't even blame them for that one. I know they didn't have their coach, but I can't blame them.
And Kyle McCord, like, he threw a pick at the end, but Kyle McCord, he played pretty good. Like, he didn't play that bad.
Yeah, like, again, like, because that's the thing, like, and Michigan played well, too. I mean, J.J. McCarthy played okay, but, like, they still, like, had a really
He played good enough.
Yeah, like, he did what they needed pretty much all throughout the season. J.J. McCarthy has done what they've needed him to do.
Well, the interesting thing about McCarthy is that the Michigan team is so well rounded that like every single player kind of knows their role and they just want to do what's best for the team. So if what's best for the team is giving it to Blake Corum 30 times, then they're going to do that. And McCarthy's going to be like, all right, let's win the game with Blake Corum.
That reminds me of Georgia right now. Yeah, give the ball to your really good running back, and then defense just play your ass off. And Carson Beck can just come in, make a couple touchdown passes, and we're good.
And I think that's why McCarthy's not a Heisman candidate, is because I don't think he really cares about being a Heisman. He just wants to win.
She thought about that. Maybe next year. Maybe
if he stayed, then next year, yeah.
I think next year he should win it if he's like even better.
But I think like it's more just like if you listen to like the Michigan players like Jim Harbaugh, like their team culture is very strong. I'm a Michigan State fan, but if I'm being honest, they have a very strong team culture.
True.
They just care about winning. They're not like they're like a very selfless team.
Yeah.
So that's got ground them far.
Like I mean, but then again, like I never really see like one of those top teams this year being like this one person won it all. It was like a total team effort. I mean, that's just football in general.
Yeah. But like they seem to be really into that like selfless team culture. Like because like Washington, like they're like a selfless team, but they also have Michael Penix putting up crazy numbers.
The intention's mainly on Penix for Washington.
And some of the receiving core is very good. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a good receiving core, but even I know their defense isn't great, but they have some key defensive players. Like Washington, like there's other players on that team that deserve their flowers too.
Oh, for sure. They have the best receiving core in the nation, I think, or Ohio State. One of those 2 teams.
Yeah,
receiving core wise. And then I'd say like defense wise, I think Michigan has the best defense.
Yeah.
And then it's tough though because if you think about Florida State, like although they're the thing is about they're just undefeated. Like they're a Power 5 team that's undefeated. So like they just feel like they got done dirty because they're not in the playoff and there's 2 teams in the playoff that have 1 loss. But like at the same time, it's like they didn't dominate the whole year, and also like I don't know like. I think the committee made the right decision, but I think Florida State and Georgia are the first 2 teams that are like those are 5 and 6.
Yeah,
and then Oregon versus Ohio State. That would be a good matchup. I don't know who'd win that.
Oregon, Ohio State.
Yeah, maybe Ohio. I think that'd be tough.
I think Oregon's just slightly above Ohio State, possibly.
They're kind of close. They're kind of like they're like a similar ballpark in my opinion.
Literally 7 and 8.
Yeah, because like I think Florida State Jordan Travis is out, so like they're going to be the last team right now. But if they had Jordan Travis healthy, then I don't know.
Yeah. I need a big test. I
think Florida State, I mean, they beat LSU by 20 points, which is very impressive. They beat Duke by like 15. Duke was ranked. They beat North Carolina. They beat Miami. So they've beaten some good teams, but
ranked team. I mean, but that's what. If you're a top 5 team, that's an expectation that you beat all those teams by a substantial amount. Not like crazy.
Well, LSU they beat by 20.
Yeah, but that was the first game.
That's very impressive. I think that's impressive.
It's the best team they played all year.
Yeah.
But like...
Well, they beat Louisville without their top 2 quarterbacks. That's impressive, too.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised. Like, their backup was doing really well for them.
They were playing with their 3rd-string guy because their backup guy...
Yeah, he got injured last week.
So the fact that they beat Louisville... Because Louisville's not a bad team. They beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, but Louisville's not as good as everyone says. Louisville lost to Kentucky, and they're literally 10-2. Like,
that's weird, though, because they're one of those teams, like, they're not consistent enough. Like, when they're good, like, they're good. Like, they beat Notre Dame.
They did beat Notre Dame. But I wonder, like, did Notre Dame have a bad game, or, like, was it
not necessarily. Louisville just went crazy. And Jack Harlow was there, like, sharing the section.
The section, yeah. He's with the Cardinals sharing a section. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but no, yeah, Louisville was very good. But yeah, Michigan, I think on paper, like across the board, Michigan's the best team in the country, but I don't think they have a clean slate to win it because I think Washington, Texas, and Bama, all those three teams, if they're playing to their full potential, could beat Michigan.
Yeah, like they have the potential, and like again, I think I mentioned this to you like right before the podcast. Like they still could be beaten, but I think Michigan's the least vulnerable.
No, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Yeah, and I think Texas, like, they haven't been the most consistent team, but it's kind of like Louisville. They're like a Louisville on steroids. Like when Texas is cooking, they're like insane. Like they're a very, very good team. Like when Texas is in their rhythm, I don't know. Besides Washington, I think when Texas and Washington, yeah, Michigan. I mean, Michigan's consistent, but like apart from Michigan, when Texas and Washington are in their bag, they're in their bag. Like they're cooking.
True, yeah.
And Oregon too, but Oregon just lost 2 times.
Dude, to Washington, and they were playing great as well.
It's just the way. I mean, if you're losing 2 times, it doesn't matter how much you lose by. It's just like you lost, you know.
I think both of those, like in both of those Washington Oregon games, both teams were playing their ass off.
Here's a question: who do you think would win a Georgia Oregon game?
I think Oregon would win.
Really?
Interesting. I'm talking up Oregon a lot.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, they go nuclear when they have to, but they're not as consistent as they could be.
I thought Oregon was actually pretty consistent. Like they've not had they've not lost or almost lost to a really bad team as far as I
thought they had a couple of games where it was kind of like a lull, but maybe I'm thinking of some other team. Maybe I'm thinking of because Ohio State, like they actually caught some momentum and then they just lost to Michigan. Because Ohio State, like. Let's not forget, like, even though, like, the playoff is the top 4 teams, this would have been such a good year for 18 playoff, man. Like, it would have been such a good year.
The 12 team.
Or even a 12-team playoff, but then I think once you get past the top 8, like, it doesn't get as competitive, though.
Yeah, who is, well, because Missouri's number 9.
Penn State and Oklahoma. I mean, actually, it's kind of competitive, though. Besides Ole Miss, they're good.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, like, Oklahoma, Penn State, like, I can't tell
how. Pretty good.
Well, specifically, Penn State and Oklahoma are 2 teams. Mizzou went in the opposite direction, because we weren't even projected to be ranked, but, like, Oklahoma and Penn State, like, I still think they're very capable teams, even though they kind of fell off.
No, I agree. Oklahoma did beat Texas.
That's literally, they beat Texas, and that was a great game in itself. And I don't even blame Texas for losing that one.
No, I mean, Texas played great. It was kind of like when Oregon lost to Washington. It's like,
what can you do? But then again, I mean, Oklahoma to me should be top 10, but they're not like a top 5 team, so
I think a good way to round out the top 10 would be like Penn State 9, Oklahoma 10. Oh, no, I mean, did Oklahoma have 2 losses, or how many losses did they? They lost to Kansas.
They lost to Kansas. Yeah, they 2.
Yeah, I think Penn State number 9 because
Kansas.
I have Penn State at number 9 because Penn State's losses are just to Michigan and Ohio State, which are really good teams.
Yeah.
And then I have Oklahoma number 10 just because they lost to Kansas.
True. Yeah. I know.
And then Mizzou 11, I think.
Yeah, I thought there was one more team.
Although Ole Miss, who did Ole Miss lose to?
Ole Miss is overrated.
But they lost to Bama and Georgia, right?
Yeah, I think
they got killed by Georgia.
They're 10-2, but those losses have been real. Like, to me, like when they played Alabama, when they played Georgia, when they played those 2 teams and lost, that kind of summed up in my mind.
Although they beat LSU though.
Yeah, but who had? I mean, I know LSU's only lost 3 games, but it feels like who hasn't beat LSU at this point?
LSU lost to Ole Miss. They lost to Florida State, and they lost to who was the third team they lost?
LSU had a crazy schedule. Like I don't even blame them for losing.
No, I don't blame them. Like I think the fact that Ole Miss they beat LSU that kind of helps them be in the top 12 conversation, top 15 conversation.
Yeah, but Mizzou almost beat LSU, and we.
Well, Mizzou's good though. Mizzou's 10. Like Mizzou is like a top 12 team though.
Yeah, that last thing. We should be like deservedly. We should be like top 12. But like that's my point. If you're a top 5 team, you should be better than a top 10, top 12 team.
Yeah, once you get out of the top 8, like from 8 to like 13 is kind of like hard to tell.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like who else? Well, because who else is even in? I think like again like Oklahoma, Penn State. Those teams should be higher. So I wouldn't even.
You'd have those teams at number 9 because they have
number 9, number 8. Yeah.
Well, number 8. Well, number 8's Ohio. Like the top 8.
Oh no, Oregon. Yeah.
The top 8's unanimous. I think.
I'd put.
Think about this.
I don't know.
The top 8: Michigan, Washington.
Yeah.
Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama, Florida State, Georgia. Ohio State and Oregon. That's top 8. That's unanimous, I think.
There's the middle 4, I think we have a debate about the middle 4.
Well, it's the top 8 in general, is what I'm saying. Those are the best 8 teams in general.
Maybe.
Sure.
Well, Georgia losing to Alabama kind of makes me second guess.
By 3 points, my guy?
By 3 points.
But it's like they barely lost. They played a good game still. Like, they're still top 8.
Yeah, I mean, they're still a really good team, but like...
Ohio State's top 8.
I think like their offense just shouldn't. Their offense to me is not even close to being top 10. Georgia's. So
But their defense makes up for it though.
their deep that's the thing. Like, but like their defense is carrying.
Well, then who would you put in the top 8 then? Because Penn State and Oklahoma, I don't put them above Oregon or Ohio State at all. You know.
I think Ohio State should be ranked higher in my opinion.
Well, I'm just saying the top. I'm not even ranking them. I'm just saying the top 8 in general. Like, to take away the rankings, the top 8 is Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama, Florida State, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State. I'm just saying that's the 8 best teams. You can rank them however you want, but those are the 8 best teams.
I might take out Florida State.
I wouldn't. They're undefeated.
They're undefeated, but they played so many. LSU, I'll give it that was.
But who do you replace it? Would you replace it with Penn State or Oklahoma then?
I'd replace it with Penn State. Like Oklahoma, if they didn't lose to Kansas, but like Penn State, like you were saying, they played. Their only losses were to
Michigan
two of the best teams. In my opinion, two of the best teams in the country, besides Washington, maybe Oregon.
I think that's my top 8 at least. I would still have Florida State in the top 8, even though they got unlucky with their quarterback situation. But from the start of the season to the end of the season, Florida State has proven to be like a good ass team. So I'd still have them. And then Penn State number 9, Oklahoma 10, Mizzou and LSU are like 11 and 12. I think.
I think it's just because like
I got LSU number 11. I think LSU's might be better though.
I don't know. They've had a really hard schedule, so it is hard to tell. But
it's tough, yeah.
Again, I think like and this is maybe where I'm kind of getting at. Like if one team, if a team like has such a lopsided kind of like strategy, not strategy, but like for example, LSU's offense is so great, but their defense is not very good. For USC, the same thing. You go to
but LSU's just way better
opposite.
I know what you mean though. So Iowa, like Iowa's ridiculous. Their defense is so good, and their offense is just like zero.
Yeah,
to do anything.
So should that mean somebody should be ranked pretty high? No, in my opinion, no. Like Georgia's defense being top 5, but their offense being top 15 to me should not let them being ranked top 5. Like I don't think they should.
I know what you're saying, but it's like. There's a lot of examples of that where it's like the defense or the offense just like they're so good that they make up for it, and it's like not like it's like there's not really a polarity, but it's like still it's like enough to like beat good teams.
Yeah, that's and that's the thing. Well, like I think, and it's kind of challenging like with this because
Florida State actually has a really good defense.
They do have a really good defense, and
their offense is really good too. Like they're actually a pretty well balanced team when they're healthy. Florida State, they haven't been dominating teams, but they've been proven to be like a consistent across the board team. Like if Jordan Travis stayed healthy, I think they would have made the playoff.
Maybe. Well, yeah, possibly. I just think like again, like their tests, they need if you're gonna have a great like top 5 defense, then you can't be almost losing to Miami. You can't be almost losing to Pittsburgh. You can't be almost losing to.
I mean, yeah, you could apply that example to any team. Like you could apply that example to Texas and Michigan because Texas almost lost to. What was it? They beat another team by like 10. They almost lost to. They beat Wyoming by like 10 or 15, and then Michigan barely beat Maryland. Yeah. Washington had a weird game against Washington State, for example.
Mm-hmm.
What team am I forgetting about? Alabama had some shaky games. Georgia as well. Florida State, they won, but they didn't dominate. You can apply that. Like every single team, like they had a moment where it's kind of been like, okay, you're not playing up here at the top of your game. But they you know what I mean? It's like
maybe. Yeah. Well, obviously,
Ohio State too. Oregon just has those 2 losses. So that's fucking bummer.
That's what. Yeah. Like I think if anybody deserves to be in the top 5, that isn't. It's Oregon. They should be. It's those 2 losses. Unless like literally I'm missing like a team that they almost.
It's tough. It's tough between that. It's tough between Oregon and Ohio State and Florida State. And like that, it's so close. Like the top 8 is literally so close. Like it's so hard.
I think I think Florida State to me they should play Ohio State or one of those other teams to really gauge like who is better. Yeah. But I think I think this is why it's a difficult thing to kind of.
That's why the 12-team playoff's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, but and why this playoff is going to be kind of weird because right now from like you were saying 8 to 12 is just not even close to 1 to 7 in terms of great teams. Besides obviously like Penn State. Oklahoma,
LSU, Missouri,
maybe LSU. Well, because also Jaden Daniels is going to leave.
So Penn State and Oklahoma are a tier above Mizzou and LSU.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're better.
But like after all of those teams, you've got Louisville,
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame,
Arizona.
Arizona's been cooking, so I can't.
Oklahoma State was good, but they got cooked by
They got
Texas.
destroyed. Yeah. That was a really bad game. Oklahoma State.
Well, that just shows how good Texas is when they turn it on. I guess you could say. Oklahoma State had a good year.
I think Texas should be in the tournament, but I just want to see how they play against Alabama again. I mean, I know
they're playing Washington, so this is gonna be a good game.
Yeah, they even better. Like I want a good test for Texas, and Washington's gonna be a great test.
And Michigan, I think, although they did beat Ohio State and Penn State, so they've proven that they could win in hard games. I think Alabama's gonna be a really good test for.
That'd be a good
Michigan.
test. Yeah.
Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh. That's gonna be a good test.
Ooh, two top tier coaches. Yes.
Like the new guy, like Jim Harbaugh is the guy that built up Michigan. He's like kind of the new guy, and then Nick Saban's been there for a while, so it'll be interesting to see how they go head to head. You know.
Well, it's weird because like Jim Harbaugh. I feel
he was an NFL guy, but I'm talking about college wise.
Well, I'm saying like even like because what was it 2017? I can't remember which year. 2016. Like it was a while ago when he got signed to Michigan. They were just. I think you mentioned.
It was like 2015, I think 2014, 2015. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned this before on the podcast. Like they've been bad. They were bad for so many years until like the last like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like
he had to build the program up.
It just feels he's been there forever. It feels like. But
yeah, no, it's 6:40 right now.
Oh yeah, let's wrap this.
So we can wrap it up soon. Yeah, but like I was saying, like he got hired in like 2014, 2015, and they were pretty bad until 2021. Then that's when they became. They made the college football playoff. So
yeah,
it was really like the 2010s to the 2020s. Like this decade has been Michigan's decade. 3 times in a row, Big Ten champion.
It'll probably keep going at least until. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Oregon and Washington are coming though.
They're all coming. Yeah.
So it'll be tough.
Yeah, we'll see how. We literally the next year or two is gonna be so crazy that like I don't even know what's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna keep my eyes peeled, but.
NIL, transfer portal, like all the conferences, there's a lot of change going on.
It's going to be an interesting season next season, but
for sure.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it for us guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, I have to leave, so.
No, yeah, it was great talking with you guys. We're going to start editing some clips because we do have a lot of episodes to work with, and we're definitely going to come up with some more fire content. But I appreciate all the support, and you guys have a great winter time. Yeah, bye.
You are the man. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for supporting, and yeah, we'll post whenever we can. So, see you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.